So continuing my conversation as I wanted to talk about. The reason about all this money in my dad's real estate was such a tragic event of selfish people that wanted to target me and used people to target me. They formed, the gay community and transgender community formed their own base. Pass gas. I swear to God, it's an electronic device. I can feel that being forced. The reason I want to talk about this is because this is a perfect example. Doug Brown, who used to work for Standard Register in Carrollton, Texas, whenever I had my transplant, he was the manager that I had prior to me getting fired. He's the guy that fired me, and he was the individual that I had to get the paperwork to as well when it came to my transplant. Well, when my dad died within, I think, it was like a year into working there, close to about a year. I was like 6 months permanent, I think I was at that time. So I'm working there, and I remember him approaching me, and how much I'm getting paid per hour, and he tells me, and he says, "Yeah, you get paid $10.50 here, but since you sacrifice your weekend, we just pay you $1.75 of all y'all, $1.75 on top of what you had the $10.50." And he kind of does an attitude and expression like that. And the reason is because he knows that I got paid for my dad's funeral. How the fuck did this guy know about my dad's money? How did this guy know my dad was gay? You don't understand how. This is what I talk about, that there was a girl by the name of Carmen, a transgender by the name of Carmen, transgender by the name of Crystal, that was bringing up tremendous topics about my mother and her twin being taken and given to a transgender. This is why I believe that Julian's twin was sent to a transgender. And I know this because they were bringing this shit up. They were just seeing whatever information they got from me. And I would just talk like, you don't know who I was, you're never going to meet my family, you're never going to know any of this. Why would you know anything? So all the gossip and information got told to them about what was going on. So what happens is they start coming after me for it. And this is why I was suffering at my job sites, more worse than anyone can ever imagine, because of what you gave my mother, but what my mother had to do, but they want to find a place to retaliate against me for it. So I talk about this because Doug Brown, if he knew, everybody knew. And he used to always reference to me when I was working there. He used to reference to me and the other employees that there was hidden recording devices. There was recording devices that were hidden inside that company. But he would say it in a way that it was referencing that there's cameras that I could put, or tracking devices I could put on your car. And so he used to always say this all the fucking time. He used to always say that, you never know what the walls may hear, or you never know what's on the other side of that wall. You never know what somebody can be able to hear. And he used to talk about, he would always say it in a way saying that there was like possible recording devices, and we talked about it. I talked about it with other employees before, Tanya, Malvin, and they used to joke around with it, saying that, yeah, he probably has recording devices somewhere placed around here. So I thought it was important for me to talk about this, about what was going on, because the fact is that I didn't know Doug was, to my understanding, Doug Brown was gay. And I remember him, he had a son that worked there, and I remember that he showed up to my job site, because I communicated with him very fairly once in a while when I was working as Standard Register. And I remember him coming over to me, and the patriotic way that you want to feel representative because you feel that you're a gay man and your gay fellow members club is being victimized by a straight kid trying to take his money. No, I'm going to show him. I'm going to protect him. We are gay. We know how to be what a real man is. This has nothing to do with that, but that's how the mentality of someone that approaches me is. And regardless, it's none of his business. But I wanted to say I have to suffer those consequences because of what these people are doing to me, because of what they want to make it about themselves. This is how they set up their own. They set up their own military camp against me. Is what they did. They set up a military camp against me because they wanted to make sure who the money and how the money and what information and how to put me where they wanted to place me with my dad's money and real estate value. So I thought I would say something about that. because I remember him coming over to me and he said it in an attitude. Like, yeah, we give you $10.50, because $10.50 back then, he still wasn't even a lot of money. It wasn't a whole lot of money at all. And it was just a job. And the way that he expressed was an attitude. He goes, yeah, we pay you. He goes, yeah, we pay you $1.75 added on top of your $10.50 because you sacrifice your weekend. And he behaves like that. And what that tells me, and there's so many other circumstances that I already knew. They knew about my life. They knew when my dad died, because I had to go to the office and tell them my dad died. You know, I was at work when he died, and I left work early that day. But that is a perfect example that I wanted to share that nobody knows about. I'm 20 years old. Why does a total stranger and these people getting attitude? Why are they telling me about my mother's identical twin? Julian's identical twin, my mother's child that was abducted, that was kidnapped and taken to a different city, while my father Raymond Paloma was still alive and not told. So I wanted to make a video on that. I know 100% sure they have their own military camp against me. Is what they did. They set up a camp. This is why I believe, and this is why I know there's no hope. Because they did this in a team effort for Kenneth and Sarah. Because Kenneth is a radio station, and the homosexuals and the gays that all work there, they control all the entertainment. That's all that's there. You might get 1 out of 1,000 entertainers that's straight, male, maybe 1. There's none of them. They're all gay. But anyway, I thought I'd make a video on that. They knew about my dad's money. They knew about my biological father. He was also being brought up about it. My biological father was being brought up to me that he was an 18-wheeler truck driver, and he was that in reference point was being told to me by Raphael and Doug and a couple of other workers. Is what I was told. That's what I was told. I think John Lieberton, I remember. He said something about it too, and I think he knew about it too, because he said something about, he goes, yeah, Doug Brown, he goes, yeah, he got a job driving 18-wheelers now, and he goes, they gave him a job over there, and he was referencing my sister Michaela. Oh yeah, they just threw a bitch over there, you know, they gave him a bitch over there, because the gay community always believes and always thinks, and they take full control over the women, and they say how and which of them gets sold to. They sell the women to say, oh yeah, we can't give you any more women, because they tell me that, and I don't need you to give me a goddamn thing. They should have their own opportunities and what, but they're the ones that sell the women and corner them and put them in positions where you have sex with this and you have sex with that. It's the gays and the transgenders that do that. But I thought I'd make a video about it.